the report we got was the 7th draft. And it's been going backwards and forwards, I'm sure, between the council's lawyers and cabinet's lawyers for quite a while.
Can I ask a following question to that? Because very brief. Yeah, because the council in their preamble are saying again and again, we are working with Capita to fix it. And I think even in your blog somewhere you said that things have been put in place now. So I guess my question is, can the council, given that if this is the auditor's recommendation, can they say, no, we're not going to sign the contract?
Yeah, but they can. But they will look very foolish. But that's not stopped them before.
I'm going to have to do this ridiculously quickly, but my little baby in terms of chasing Capita and Barnet is planning. And I think I'm in a position to prove now that Barnet have allowed Capita Army to constantly and continually breach policies, procedures, rules, regulations, which are actually residents' safeguards. But we think we've got safeguards in place. We haven't really, because Capita have been nodded to take them away if we want. The best example is the fraud policy, which Capita officers have not been following. And I think, to me, my latest sort of thoughts on this are that if you think Capita is deplorable, Barnet allowing Capita to do that is more deplorable. And I believe now that Capita will simply say, you touch our contract, and it will become publicly known that you've colluded with us to cheat your own residents. Put your own residents in harm so that we can maximise our profiteering. And I believe sincerely that's what's been happening with planning enforcement for a long time. My case that I've been chasing is a perfect, there's only one, but it's a perfect example, where the officer didn't show due diligence on purpose, he didn't follow the fraud policy, and when dear old Maureen Braun referred the case to the planning committee, he falsified his report to that committee to hide the fact it was a fraud. The attitude of the senior directors has been to cover it up big time. Claire Green simply lied to me and suggested that lying on a retrospective planning application wasn't fraud. Goodman told Theresa Villiers it had been thoroughly examined, and when it hadn't, the monitoring officer won't reveal his findings about the conduct of that officer. It's a bed in a shed in Hendon, and they've covered it up like hell, and there's a reason for that. And it's because it represents the tip of an iceberg of planning, which has been going on for years in 2011.
Well,
Therefore, they've obviously said to Capita, get the developers in, get the building going, get those clear rate statistics sorted, and don't worry about things like the fraud policy, consultation, requisite notice, retrospective rules, due diligence, and so Capita haven't. And you know, as a teacher, if a kid throws a paper ball and I laugh and he throws another one, it's my problem. I'd let him do it. They've let Capita do this, in my view. So if other services are a shambles by incompetence, planning enforcement, in my view now, is a shambles by design. And therefore they're in fraud to Capita. Just in the same way that the officer in question, it was misconduct in public office by that officer. He was protected like a baby. I made a complaint in 2015, and in 2018 he simply walked into DLP with a new job, presumably with a glowing reference. He was protected like a baby, because he would have said, you sat me, and I know everything that's been going on here. It's a
the other example of negligence on the council is that every organisation has or should have a system of internal control. And Barnet Council did. It was there. It was the scrutiny committees. And on these scrutiny committees were councillors of all parties, and they, people like Brian Salinger, would be asking, really pertinent questions. They never got straight answers, but nevertheless, the framework was there, scrutiny. And if there'd been any scrutiny of these 5 things...
Yeah.
The fraud policy dictates...
Hang on, sorry, that other screen. Have you finished?
Yes,
Okay, Catherine?
Yeah, two things. If you could point out the separate annex, I'd like to read that. But going on from from Nick, and I know we've been talking about this for quite a while, or going through this. Also, the connection to that is the audit company section, where they've been deliberately denying the frauds that have been made out with residents and housing agents, where we had one with Mark who got done for 4.5 years. They've done the council out of hundreds of thousands of pounds, and that included the residents as well. I had to represent one of the residents in court at least twice to stop them getting an £11,000 bill. And the council will not admit it. They go on about saving £500 here and maybe £1,000 there from blue badges, but they've never mentioned about this, and there are several others which are also in the pipeline of this. They are covering these up left, right and centre. If we dig these out, it's enough to nail the coffin to this, because I just don't want to attack you, but the whole lot. Everyone's kept their mouth shut with this. Should go.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of going on from that, I was wondering, because we don't trust Barnet with our interest to pursue, rectifying or even holding income to account. So, what, if anyone knows, what scope is there for civil action from us as residents and citizens of Barnet? So we can, stop trying to bang heads against the brick wall with Barnet, with council, and go straight in and get the contract, not just notified, but we should be compensated for.
Sorry.
My question's a little bit, sorry, my question's maybe a little bit naive because I'm coming in a bit late on all of this. What is concerning me, that when they set it from the onset, it didn't look very, it didn't look right somehow. There was a scenario in certain meetings and in certain things that were going on that the people from Capital were taking over certain things, but basically what I'm trying to ask is how come there were no auditors or accountants from Barnet that were linked up with the Capital lot so that they could oversee the figures? Why was the thing, both of them kept completely separate without anything that was sort of combined or overseen?
What, in terms of monitoring the contract?
Yeah.
Well, it's, I'm sure John will say, but it's what they call thin client. So basically,
The what?
they call it thin client. Basically, it's a very minimal way of monitoring the contract because they say it saves money. So rather than having a big team of people monitoring the contract, they get the contractor to monitor themselves and then check what they are monitoring.
Are you really being serious?
That's what they've been doing.
I thought I was an idiot, but even I think that sounds stupid.
A lot of people suggested that that was not a good idea at the time.
Okay.
At the consultation, in, was it 2016 or 2017? I think it's 2017, Zinkin did say, yes, it was badly drafted. So we all shouted out, well, why on earth did you sign it then?
Fair enough.
And clearly they didn't prepare. And I
It's actually an important point as
Yeah, it
to
is.
why nothing was monitored properly
Okay.
from the beginning, regardless of what they were saying. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Clearly, look, listen. My name's John Burgess, Barneyans, and I seem to have been trying to organise about the mad outsourcing for a decade. And you come in this building with a lot of people in here for nearly 8 years. For 8 years, every Wednesday, coming in here. We did everything we possibly could and raised in every single forum about you can't monitor these contracts. And about thinking, saying whether it was badly worded contract, those of us who were organised and out there saw that they brought in a top-notch firm, Trowers and Hamlin, I believe, and they had two, in their scrutiny meetings, they had two legal people from Trowers carrying this huge contract like it was something like the Ark of the Covenant. It was, and we weren't allowed to see it, remember, and the councillors were locked in a room, to read this 20,000 page document and try and make an informed decision. You never, ever hold a big multinational global giant to account. Their lawyers will always be bigger and stronger and have a treasure chest to fight it all the way. And the council did talk about the only way there was an economic argument to outsource was if we outsource and we don't monitor it with a load of officers, then it could be cheaper to let a Capita run it or BT run it. And we says, but that won't work. Quite rightly, what you said, every time somebody said, you mean the contractor's going to monitor us? Yeah, they'll monitor us and tell us when they get it wrong. It was madness. And now what we have got, though, as John knows, is now what you've got working here in Barnet is a commissioning workforce of 230 people that didn't exist before the outsourcing began. And they cost you, Barnet residents, around £8 million a year just to monitor the Capita contracts. And it looks, doesn't it, when we read the Grant Thornton, that they've not been doing a very good job. Yeah? So it's very clear, the threes are on the table because the council's asking this gentleman here, one of our strategies between now and the 11th of December, for those that came late, is a committee decision. And the council at the moment have got 1, 2 and 3. 1 is to leave it with Capita, 2 is to take a bit from Capita, and 3 is to take the lot back. And I think it's absolutely important for both for the workforce and for residents that the residents have their money back, and it's run and held accountable by councillors, because I can't envisage how anybody would be prepared to let the swindler and co run their business, and why would it be okay for it to be a council?
Sorry, but
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much, Andrew, because
Yes,
you've
yeah.
done a fantastic job here. I know everybody else has been coming to these meetings and doing stuff, done a really good job. But being able to explain it as simple as it is, and I know it's very complicated, it's been a massive help. But I do think, I take up with the ladies' thing, that we should be looking at how we can actually take our own action against the council, because it's gone on too long, and it will continue, because they will wriggle out of it and will get the contract back to Capita. So that's something serious that we'll have to do.
Yeah, but the wriggle out of
Sorry,
it only because
sorry,
money
yeah,
is the issue.
sorry, I've got yourself and then Barnet.
But-
Can you ask people to introduce themselves?
Yeah,
because otherwise I'm just going
Sorry,
personal.
my name's Nick Dixon, I'm just a humble resident who was cheated in 2011 and I've been pursuing it ever since. And I'm going to live to 105. I won't stop pursuing this until I get the truth out of these people. I do think on options 1, 2 and 3, they have no choice. They will do option 2, because Capita has said, you can chuck these services back, we don't really like them. These ones are lucrative, and you will leave them with us. Otherwise, it will leak out how you've been cheating your own residents. It's got to be Barnet cheating the community first.
Okay, welcome.
Right, Barbara Jacobson, what else can I say? I think we have to say, first of all, what the hell has the so-called opposition been doing all this time? You know, this has been known about since the end of 2017 by everybody in the council but us, the residents, whose money it is. It's evident in the report that it was all happening in 2016-17. They had been warned about things in 2016-17 and in 2017-18. They've done F all. Boy, it's so hard not to swear when you talk about these things. So, one, how do we get the mealy-mouthed opposition to open their mouths and do something? How do we find somebody with a conscience on the Conservative side to vote against their own party? What do we do if they don't? And when should we start doing it?
Okay. I think to point out, sorry, there's I've got a woman on here.
Sylvia Cohen. I want to take a step back from what you were saying, which I agree with fully, and to ask something that might sound a bit naive. I was like many of us, we were at a council meeting when, in July, was it? July?
Yeah.
When the 3 options were on the table, and they chose option 2, which was to review. They can't choose that again. You can't review again, can you?
They were forced to say they would include option 3 in the review
They
because,
were, yeah.
yes, Catherine Burke spoke up and,
Yeah,
Can't
they
remember
did
who
quite
else.
well at that council meeting actually.
Yes.
finally,
Yeah, but I mean, surely they've got to make some kind of decision. They can't go back to option 2 again.
They
It's
can.
really good that since they've
Clarification.
What is the preferred option?
Yes.
Clarification.
they'd already made the mandate.
Sylvia, my understanding was,
Maybe I misunderstood. Yeah, go on.
my understanding was that they agreed historically to Labour's demand to do a full case review, business case of each and every service, and that will come, I suppose, to the next Policy and Resources Committee so they have now reviewed, they didn't choose between the options at that meeting.
They just chose to review.
They just
it.
got to review, so really we are now approaching the meeting that we thought will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nick, thank you, then Jasmine.
But was there not that feeling at that meeting that they made their mind up that, sorry, it's got tired.
Do you want to sit down?
Chairs,
Liz and Dave, can you bring some
They'd
chairs?
already got lists of services that might come back in, lists of services that might stay with that, and they've already got their mind up. And I think they're over a barrel. They've got no option. Capital told them what's going to happen.
Okay,
It's a
Steve.
disgrace.
There are two issues which mean that Capita have got nobody over the barrel. One is the law of the country. This is fraud, proven fraud, and the law of the country takes precedence over Capita. And the second is to answer Barbara's question, what do you do about it? Publicity. We've got national
Absolutely.
newspapers, we've got national newspapers like The Guardian, who are, for example, who are very, very, it's a national newspaper, so they get publicity, and therefore international publicity, and therefore what's happening in this country is common knowledge all over the world, and publicity is on our side.
Okay, Jasmine and Jenny and Barbara.
Yasmin Parsons, spoken to research as the next candidate for England. But I do, we're quite like this, because we are still, we dropped out of it because the £2 million board was on regeneration, CPO, environment and the highways, all affects the estates, including ours, so there's a lot happening about that. But we've also dropped out on the fact that barracks directors, and that was also caught up in fraud, which is still being investigated. They were bunnies to the authorities to get those kind of contracts. So this angle should also be being pushed. We try going up, it keeps getting lost. Now, Barnet Council being absolutely stumped on it, can't get no information out of barracks. You go through on the normal websites and stuff, and it just circulates to the same thing. Now, there's still investigations going on. There's 3 Capita people, 3 Barrett's people, who got prison sentences and went to prison over the fraud. And it's all connected somewhere. And if we join those dots together, we can get these buggers out and try and get our money back.
Jenny.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Jenny Brown. I'm, without wanting to mention names, just looking for information, particularly from John maybe, because it's being said that the expenses of the total running costs of the council are not affected greatly by the capital costs. In other words, even if everything is brought in-house, Capita's contribution would be a tiny part. So, do we have a rough idea of the proportion of costs accounted for by Capita and the costs of the total expenses of running the council every year? We know the value of the contracts passed to Capita, but perhaps going back before, so it might be going back 5 years or whatever, do we have a rough idea of the total costs of running the council and what the costs are of Capita? Thanks.
So, Barbara, then Karen, then Patrick then.
Okay, I have no idea about the answer to your question. But what we do know is that Capita is getting more out of this than the council is. Because they get paid more than they're saving us. And John has shown that time and time again. It's very nice to talk about publicity and The Guardian. What percentage of people in Barnet read The Guardian? What influence will it really have? And international publicity, no, they're not going to pick up on this. They don't care either. There are other things that are bigger and more important for them. And how do we join up the dots? We need some help here. We need people who can get in there and do it. And we need legal help. Our biggest mistake in not being able to stop this whole business was waiting too long to get legal help. And we waited too long because we were misled by the council. But that does not change the fact that...
And we still believe them.
Well, fool me once, it's acceptable, fool me twice, I'm an idiot. So I'm saying now, what we need is to do something stronger. We need to, of course, do the publicity. But we've done publicity for 8 years. And you could walk down any high street in this borough and ask somebody about Kappa, and they go, duh. They won't even know about this fraud case. You know, there is no way of telling them that. The local newspaper reaches such a tiny percentage of people, some of whom we think might be able to read, but it's not making a dent anywhere, and we have to figure out how to make that dent. That's what we're here for.
Okay, now, Barbara, why not go on the news? You've got 6 o'clock news.
And do what? Say there's been a case of fraud in Barnet and the council, and allege that the council has colluded in it?
Yeah. Why not?
Because you'll get no yes.
Wait, don't cut me out, that wasn't my question.
Yeah, go on, sorry, I thought that was it, sorry. Go on then.
Brennan?
Karen, go on.
Okay. I've just read this, which I presume that not all of you have, but it was about something that rang up recently about their Freedom Pass with their application. Okay, from the onset, I've been virulently rude about the call centre. And I happened to be in the town hall at a meeting when somebody walked in, and he was the person that was supposed to be organising the call centre. And I said, great, where are you going to be based? I don't know what he said, I think he said Swindon or something. I said, well, what the hell are you going to be doing up there? So I said, do you know Barnet? And somebody quickly stood in, because they knew that I was going to go on and on. And he stopped and he says, no, we're going to put them on a bus and we're going to take them around Barnet. I said, for how long? For a week. I said, are you mad? I couldn't even be polite because I didn't believe it. But if any of you have tried to phone Barnet for anything, you know, haven't you got grey hair in here? Because honestly, it's enough to drive anybody totally and utterly insane. Okay, next thing, sorry, because then I can shut up. Hopefully. Anyway, all the things that they want to take back in-house, or we're still going to stay with Capita, have any of you examined why? The cost of what stays with Capita, and the stuff when they're coming back out, why are they doing what they're doing? Because some of the things are weird. Come on, John, you can answer that one.
No, hang on, I've got other people. So I've got, the list is Patrick, Nick, John, sorry, I don't know your name, and Terza. And I think after Terza we should get on to what are we going to do. Yeah?
Well, that's basically what I'm talking about.
All right, so Patrick.
Hi, I'm Patrick. I'm one of the PPCs for Camden.
What's the PPC? When it's
Perspective Parliamentary Camden.
What else?
And I just want to, just want to talk about the political landscape has actually moved a little bit in Barnet. We've actually got a Labour group. I would call them reluctant insourcers, but they have actually now said that the Capita contract should be brought back in-house. We need to keep the pressure on the Labour group because it's taken them
8 years.
8 years to get there, which is a little bit low in my take on it, but I mean, we've been telling them time and time again that these contracts are working, but we can't just obsess about Capita. We've got other outsourced services in this borough. We've got Barnet Homes, we've got Your Choice Barnet, and under the last Labour administration, we actually outsourced our residential care homes to Fremantle. Now that was a disgrace. We need to actually say that this cannot continue. We need a national care service. We need all our services back in-house, not just some.
Okay. Nick?
This is just a nugget that I wanted to share in case it has any relevance to anybody. I've had some help back home. I actually live in Doncaster and I've come down for things like this. My local council up there's given me a hand. We looked at the RE accounts and I wanted to know what the directors got. And there's an asterisk and it says the directors of RE spend comparatively little time on their duties and so are not remunerated by RE. They are remunerated by a subsidiary company of Capita. And FOI, can you give them the name and contact details of that company? Stony silence from everywhere. So, technically, I only say technically because I don't know. Technically, there's a secret tap of money from Capita to the directors of RE, which include Houghton and Cornelius, or did do, until a very short time ago, when they stood down. They actually stood down at the time I was asking that question, and said it was conflict of interest. It's one of the very rare emails I've ever had from them explaining that it was a conflict of interest. And I said, it's not. I said, you would of course be representing the interests of Barnet Council and Barnet residents on that board, and therefore need to be there. But no. And why didn't they stand down months and months ago? I want to know what this company is, this subsidiary company.
Okay.
And Finance Director Capita would tell me, no detail.
Joe?
Yeah, quickly, just information for everybody, so just to be clear. So what the council is doing on the 11th of December, and what's happening in the council's offices at North London Business Park, is there's a group of very highly paid individuals looking at the business case for either letting Capita run it, bring part of Capita back, or bringing it all back. And I believe the third option will be split into 3A and 3B. 3A will be all the Capita contract that's physically based in Barnet. And 3B will be all those services that were decimated to the Four Winds in Carlisle, Blackburn, Belfast, Southampton. So it's a bit more complicated because, to give you an example, the same thing that's happening in Barnet, it's happening in Southampton. Bar the fraud isn't happening in Southampton, at least I don't know about it, if it is. So Southampton Council just decided, Labour administration, they did a review, said Capita's fine, let's get on with it, and then this year decided they've had enough, we want everything back in-house. So Southampton are now in discussions with Capita to bring the whole, and that was a massive contract as well. These things happen, and they've got to weigh things up. Now, in terms of what Jenny said about the costings, of course we've got the costings of what it was to run the services before the contract. Things have changed, technology's changed, and also some of the departments now are nowhere near the size, will no longer be the size they were when they went out. For an example, revs and benefits with the move to a universal credit, which we don't like. But that has meant that the revs and bens team going forward could be, if it does get rid of this Tory government, they'll be rolling out universal credit. So the revs and benefit team will be smaller. My anxiety is the figures that they're using for their business cases. And we, as the unions, and you as the residents, will not see that. But you will be involved in a consultation, and my understanding is it's about to begin. It should have begun this week, but maybe beginning in the next couple of weeks, it'll be on the council's website. So you will be consulted. I don't know what you'll be consulted on, because you won't see much information, much to base the decision. But that's what's happening at the moment within the council, is somebody is looking at the costings. And I'll finish on this. For lots of reasons, I don't share the comrade here's view that nothing will, that they'll get 50-50. I think the Grant Thornton review is something that, and I've done a lot of work about it, believe me, I haven't seen anything quite like that on Capita anywhere. To get it published was a game changer for me. before I saw it, I felt a bit like this, it looks like a deal's been done. And until I saw the Grant Thornton report a week ago, I was thinking, I've heard about this report, is it going to be what it's been out to be? And it is, and it is shocking really. And somehow, through publicity, through campaigning, organising, spreading the word, it's not just us who need to read that report. Every single public body that has capital delivering services should be reading. People have got friends who live in different parts of the country.
That's a good
Labour
advertising
Party
point.
should be saying, let's get our forensic auditors, because what John Dixon just shared with us was that Grant Thornton just looked at a little bit of both contracts and they saw, whoa. And for those who don't know, Council conducted 2 allegedly detailed reviews and said everything was all right in the garden. And it clearly wasn't. Yeah, when you pay a lot of money for those people who said everything was great in the garden until the fraud happens, and then suddenly it changed things. So I, after work on the view, I'm sick to death what's happened. They vandalised services. I saw 250 friends and comrades lose their jobs as a result of what they did. So I will not give up the fight to bring things back in-house, definitely.
Okay. The door?
Sort of going off.
Your name?
Name?
Oh, sorry, my name's Kunal. I'm used to this group, but interested in getting one. So, personally, I think we've just had a council election. Political pressure is its most useful near election. That's not another 4 years away. And I don't trust. Not only do I not trust Barnet Council, but to be honest, I generally have a mistrust of local councillors because they're not proportionally elected. So I would like if someone has any ideas about how we move forward with our own organised legal actions and what scope we have and which acts do we have rights under, which we can basically get addressed. Yeah, a case on. And I was just wondering if this group has reached out to any legal minds and sought any advice on those sorts of things so we could.
Hang on, right, I did say, because we're at 7:30 already, so I want to bring in Terza, and then I think we do actually have to crack on with what we're going to do. So Terza.
It's not very important. I mean, one thing of what I want to say, maybe what Barbara said, what did Labour do in the opposition? So, and they do say, and they will say, and unfortunately it is true, that being in the opposition, they are in a minority in and they're not trying to defend, because I think they could have led residents and worked with the trade union much more vigorously. But the fact remains what Patrick said, we need to mount the pressure on Labour. However, even if we'll do that, they are still in minority in every council, and we see them time and time again voting according to party lines, even when the subjects are completely, shouldn't be political. One thing that Barry Rawlings keeps saying is when we point out they need to bring all services back, I say, well, yes. And now they published a statement, which is quite committing to do that, said that it will take at least 18 months time to bring them. I mean, I'm saying, okay, let's start. But yeah, the rest of what I want to say will come into the other part. So,
well, I've been shutting up on the people. What I would suggest is that just because we're going to move on to talk about practicalities, that doesn't mean that people can't weave in their questions around what we're doing. So just as we're halfway through the meeting, I don't know, John, if you had anything to come back to. Do you want to comment back on anything?
I think there's only one comment I would make, and it follows up on John's point. And that is, this has been an investigation into one fraud. What it's revealed is fundamental weaknesses in the whole of the council. Are there other frauds out there? May well be. Are there other problems out there? May well be. Nobody's looked at them, But what's clear is the system doesn't work. And I think part of the pressure that also needs to be put is actually to say, oh, what other issues are there? So that's all I would say.
Okay, so before I start bringing people back in, just want to throw into the room. So apart from people, some people are very keen to do a legal challenge. I don't know if we have any lawyers in the room who can already give some sort of indication about what direction that might look like. But there's also, we've also talked about a very concrete thing, which is the 11th of December, lobby of the council, where the council will make a decision. So whether you rate your chances of getting the council to make the right decision or not, the point is, if the council sits there, nobody's there, they will almost certainly make the wrong decision. And, you know, I think it's incumbent on us to protest like never before, you know. And then there's a question about how we mobilise the maximum numbers to